Welcome, everyone. Cannabis News with Joe Klare. It is May 25th, 2018, presented by the Marijuana Times. Of course, thanks everybody for checking us out. If you go to marijuanatimes.org, you can find the show by clicking the video tab. If you're on Vimeo, that's with an M, vimeo.com/marijuanatimesx, or search the Marijuana Times on Vimeo. Subscribe. That's our new video platform since we were part of the YouTube purge, the cannabis channel purge on YouTube. Vimeo.com, search the Marijuana Times on there. Of course, you can also follow us on all our social media, Instagram, all that stuff. Search Marijuana Times on Apple Podcasts as well to find the audio-only version of the show. Today, talking about a new Arizona Supreme Court ruling when it comes to medical marijuana on campus. Also, news that just broke today, just a couple hours before I recorded this show, about medical marijuana in Florida. And also, we've talked a lot about Utah and the opposition to medical marijuana there. We'll meet the man who's given $100,000 to opposition to medical marijuana in Utah. All of that. First, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by Natureside, Cannabis.com. Natureside grows safe and poison-free. You don't want to use harmful chemicals on your grow. You want to be regulatory compliant. You want to use regulatory compliant pesticides on your grow, organic, all natural. NatureSideCannabis.com. Go check them out. They are a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. Now, they help you grow safe and poison-free. Take advantage of the products, the expertise, all of that. NatureSideCannabis.com. This first story is from MarijuanaTimes.org. By Julia Granowitz. Arizona Supreme Court rules medical marijuana is allowed on college campuses. The Arizona Supreme Court this week ruled that patients are free to have medical marijuana on college campuses without fear of arrest. Of course, voters approved medical marijuana by a slim margin in 2010. 2 years later, legislators saw fit to make changes to the list of places where medical marijuana was not allowed, which originally included prisons, schools, and school buses. They expanded that to include university campuses. At least one Arizona State University student and registered patient has been arrested and convicted of possession of less than a gram of medical marijuana because it was found in his dorm room. The court ruling by the Supreme Court will vacate that conviction and possibly others. It's kind of an amazing win, said Tom Dean, cannabis law expert and attorney for Metasis, the ASU student convicted of possession. Quote, the judiciary stood up and was not intimidated. It's great to see the court fulfilling its purpose in such a brave and courageous way. The Arizona Court of Appeals back in April 2017 came to a similar conclusion when it comes to whether or not college students are allowed to have medical marijuana on campus, and they are. So good news for medical marijuana in Arizona. You can see that story at marijuanatimes.org. All stories, as always, that I talk about are linked in the description of this video. This next story is this kind of breaking news that I was referencing happened a few hours before this show started. Great news out of Florida. This is from OrlandoWeekly.com. Drum roll, please. Well, I don't have a drum roll, but that would have been a perfect place for a drum roll sound effect if indeed I did have one. But as I mentioned, I do not. So, you can now legally smoke medical marijuana in Florida. It's official. A Tallahassee judge has ruled that medical marijuana in Florida can be smoked. The lawsuit against the state was brought last July by Orlando attorney John Morgan, who essentially floated the bill in the successful campaign to make medical access to cannabis a constitutional right. Of course, he bankrolled not only the efforts in 2014, but the efforts in 2016 as well. He took to Twitter at John Morgan ESQ. He said, when I start something, I finish it. Truth prevails. The voters will be done. Hashtag believe. Hashtag for the people. Hashtag no smoke is a joke. So congratulations to people in Florida who are now medical marijuana patients will be able to smoke medical marijuana. The judge wrote in his their opinion that, quote, the defendant's toxicology expert's opinion about whether smokable marijuana is a good way for those with debilitating conditions to get relief is, quite frankly, irrelevant. Floridians have already given the rights of qualifying patients constitutional protection. Basically, the argument was by Morgan and the people behind the lawsuit was that it prohibited, specifically the Medical Marijuana Amendment 2, prohibited public smoking, which implies that it allows smoking in private areas, the privacy of someone's own home. And this judge agreed. Tampa Bay Times reports the suit was filed on behalf of 2 patients, Diana Dotson of Levy County, who has HIV and neuropathy, and Kathy Jordan, who has Lou Gehrig's disease. So, good news out of Florida. Like I said, the momentum is there. If you step back and look at everything, the momentum is clearly on one side. Now, there's setbacks here and there. Obviously, we cover a lot of those setbacks here on Cannabis News. But the amount of work that activists have put into this since I've been covering it, which has been 9 years, has been incredible. And it all accumulates state to state to state. You know, the people in Florida who got this done are different than the people in Arizona who are fighting out there. They're different than the people in New York. They're different than the people in Maine and Hawaii and Alaska and Colorado and Washington, Oregon, California. All these different groups of activists, all with the same goals in mind. It's a fantastic thing. And, you know, the people who support prohibition, we see them flailing and we see them failing, absolutely failing to stop any of this in any measurable way. And it means we have to continue on all fronts at all times, being aggressive as possible. One of those places where that's being tested is Utah. We've talked a lot about Utah and what's going on out there, and then the people. Oh, I've said it. I made quite a few speeches along the same lines. These people who are opposing medical marijuana in Utah, they're actively spending money and putting effort into not allowing voters to vote on whether or not sick people have the choice of medical marijuana. Now, up until now, it's been mainly groups of people, these faceless groups of people. But as of last week, we got an idea of some of the people who are putting the money into this effort to defeat medical marijuana in Utah. And the main guy, apparently, to the tune of $100,000, is this guy. Yeah, he looks like, if you're watching the video of this, he looks like someone who would oppose medical marijuana. Meet the man spending $100,000 to defeat Utah's medical marijuana initiative. This is from the Salt Lake Tribune, sltrib.com. He once funded and co-wrote a booklet on marijuana after he saw a possible connection between low junior high graduation rates in Utah and the illicit plant. He ran a law firm with his friend, U.S. Attorney Senator Orrin Hatch, who, by the way, has been very vocal as of late about medical marijuana and being for medical marijuana research. And here's the kicker. This guy, Walter J. Plum III, owns a pharmaceutical company that sells nutritional supplements and products marketed to women. What a coincidence that this guy would own a pharmaceutical company that could be hurt very much by the introduction of medical marijuana in Utah. That's crazy. That's a crazy confluence of circumstances. That is a crazy, nutty coincidence. It's incredible. Walter J. Plum III, he's a real estate developer and philanthropist who's contributed more than $100,000 to the campaign, hoping to block the medical marijuana initiative before it can reach voters on November's ballot. He doesn't even want voters to have a choice on whether or not to allow sick people the choice of using medical marijuana instead of dangerous and addictive prescription pills. Plum is the first of many. It was the first of what may be other big dollar donors to the opposition campaign of Utah's most contentious ballot measure. He is also a plaintiff in the lawsuit that seeks to block the state from approving the measure for the ballot. We talked about that on yesterday's show. A decision on that is expected next week. Plum said he's funding the opponent's campaign, which is led by the Utah Medical Association, because he believes voters don't understand the breadth and potential impact of the initiative. What the campaign proponents want is recreational marijuana, Plum told the Salt Lake Tribune during a phone interview last week. The right to get high. Actually, I don't think that was last week. I think that was today. Let me scroll up here. Hold on. Whoops. Scroll up. See what the date of this is. Where is it? There we go. Yeah, it was published today. Absolutely. So he talked to him today. First of all, the medical marijuana initiative, yes, it's true that that usually leads to recreational legalization, but the medical marijuana initiative requires a recommendation from a doctor. So it's not recreational. That's the thing that makes it medical. The only difference between medical marijuana and adult use medical marijuana is for the medical marijuana, you need a doctor's recommendation. That's what makes it medical. If they want a recreational, that's what they go after. And maybe it is a strategic thing that they're going for medical first. But I don't have a problem with that. But that's not the point. He said that the next thing is where he's getting this emotional appeal in the next little thing here. The forgotten group in this whole thing is kids, junior high kids and high school kids. What does that mean? And by the way, he previously said that the people who are behind medical marijuana in Utah, quote, just want the right to get high. He made headlines in the 1990s when he delivered thousands of booklets about his views on marijuana use to parents along the Wasatch Front. I'm not from Utah. I don't know what that is. The booklet, according to the Desert News article at the time, was criticized for including incorrect information, which Plum dismissed. Imagine that. Another amazing coincidence. He's peddling disinformation. He said, when you're a layperson, it's hard to make every word gender neutral and politically correct. I wasn't interested in doing that. I wanted to tell it like I've seen it. And now, here's the best part. Remember, he owns a pharmaceutical company. Here's one of his quotes. After 200 years of statehood, suddenly we need medical dispensaries for this magical drug that's going to solve every problem according to these people that are selling it, says the guy who owns a pharmaceutical company. That's one of the favorites of prohibition people. Like, oh, you know, to try to, the good old straw man. They build the straw man that we say, supposedly, that medical marijuana will cure everything. It's a magical drug. Everybody needs it. They're going to die without it. So on and so forth. And then they attack that straw man, which in reality, all people are saying in Utah is that sick people should have the option to use medical marijuana. It's not a controversial thing, despite the way that, you know, this guy's making it sound. Polls nationwide are over 90% for medical marijuana. It's one of the least controversial political issues of our time. And that's what this guy has decided to go after. Now, again, he owns a pharmaceutical company, so he could be hurt by medical marijuana. And this is something you would expect someone in that position to do. But it's not any less despicable just because there's a logical reason behind it. His donation appeared Friday on the state website where campaigns report their fundraising and spending. It includes money spent or received within 30 days. He said he had another $10,000 to $15,000 since then, and that more may follow depending on the outcome of the lawsuit. Again, just to put so much money and so much effort into trying to keep medical marijuana off the ballot. And for what reason? The kids. Yes, that's what he said. The kids. Junior high kids and high school kids. This is the forgotten group in all of this. And the medical marijuana people just want the right to get high, even though, you know, obviously the medical marijuana initiative, you would need a doctor's recommendation, which is what makes it medical marijuana. Again, strategically, he may be correct. They may be maybe their ultimate goal may be recreational. I don't think that's what it is. Normally, the people who are going after medical are doing it for a reason. And they're doing it for medical reasons. And then other people come along and say, well, we've got medical now. You've seen how well it works. What's the point of not having recreational? Which there is no point, because the people who use, sell, and grow marijuana are not infringing on the rights of anyone else. Therefore, they are not criminals. So if it ends up in recreational adult use, great. Great. But to say that's what this is ridiculous. Because again, the whole doctor's recommendation thing, that's what makes it medical marijuana. I don't know. I feel like I'm explaining this to an idiot. This idiot's not going to watch this show, so I'm explaining it to him. And you all already know this. Share this video, like it, comment on it, let other people know these things. Help us spread the truth about cannabis here on Cannabis News. This is the last show of the week, so your weekend can officially start right now. I don't have a watch on, but it doesn't matter. You get the point. Thank you to NatureSideCannabis.com for being a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. Check us out on Vimeo. Search the Marijuana Times on Vimeo. Share those videos. Click the video tab on marijuanatimes.org. Check out all the great articles there on the Marijuana Times as well. It's May 25th, 2018. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week on Cannabis News.